Coming up on Cronkite News, pain at the pump. We'll take a look at how people are managing high gas prices.
Plus, the wildfire forecast. Hear what we could expect these next few months as temperatures start heating up.
And later on Break It Down, a look at sports betting in Arizona. Was the gamble profitable for the state?
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm REYNA PRECIADO.
And I'm Mitchell Zimmerman. Thank you for joining us.
As the Arizona legislature moves into the third month of the session, most bills having to do with election integrity haven't passed. However, Faith Abercrombie tells us about one particular idea that keeps coming up for a vote.
The Arizona Senate Government Committee has advanced a bill requiring all votes to be counted by hand within 24 hours of the polls closing on Election Day. The bill would also get rid of early voting and mail-in ballots for most citizens. Republican lawmakers passed the bill out of committee on Monday with a 4-3 vote. House Bill 2289 was first introduced in January and focused on poll watchers and election challengers. Now, after a strike everything amendment, the bill's original language was replaced and it now focuses on how voters turn in their ballot and who can get an exemption from voting in person on Election Day.
No mail-in ballots, except for those who are handicapped, military, overseas, out-of-state request ballots, disabled, hospitalized, or nursing home patients who have requested it.
While the bill is moving forward, it is not expected to become law, which may be good news to most Arizonans. A new survey shows about 74% supporting mail-in voting. That's the green area right over here in the OH Predictive Insights survey. The gray and black area shows the 15% of people who aren't taking a stand either way. And up here in the red area, that's about 10% of people who oppose mail-in voting in general. In the 2020 general election, about 89% of ballots cast were early ballots, according to the Citizens Clean Elections Commission. At the Google touchscreen, Faith Abercrombie, Cronkite News.
When rent prices in the Valley increased by about 30% in 2021 and are still surging, and now talks of possible rent control are beginning to ripple through Arizona. Considering these recent prices, rent control legislation could be on the horizon. Senate Bill 1587 would stop increases on rent by 5% on a yearly basis if it's approved. That bill was proposed by Democratic Senator Martin Quesada, but hasn't had a hearing yet in the Senate. Arizona Republicans fear rent control legislation will curb interest in building new housing. Plus, Arizona still has a law in place that prevents cities and towns from controlling rent prices. You may cringe when filling up your gas tank. Arizona ranks in the top 10 nationwide for the price of a regular gallon of gas, according to AAA. I find that several ride-sharing companies and public transit are handling the price jump in different ways. High prices and higher stress.
There are times when I'm like, I really probably shouldn't drive down there.
Lindsay KRAUSE says the same thing as most other drivers.
It's just really expensive to fill up my tank.
KRAUSE is a driver for DOORDASH, a popular food delivery platform.
They'll offer me orders and they'll tell me what the price is going to be and how far I'm going to have to drive, what restaurant I'm going to go to, and then I can decide if I want to accept it or not.
DOORDASH and other similar companies like Uber Eats and Lyft announced they're giving drivers extra funds to offset the cost of gas. Uber and Lyft are adding fees and giving them directly to drivers. DOORDASH isn't raising its prices, but it's giving drivers 10% of their gas purchases through the end of April, up from the normal 2%.
It, incentivizes people to continue buying from DOORDASH, which is important because the less people that buy, the less orders that I can get.
Gas prices have dipped slightly in the last week. Still, John TREANOR with AAA says the West is dealing with some of the highest prices in the country.
What we can tell you about Arizona, as is true of a lot of the West, Utah, and Nevada, they are the 10 states with the largest weekly increases in price.
As of March 22nd, a regular gallon of gas in Arizona is $4.61. According to AAA, nationwide, it's $4.24. And as gas prices increase, so do the number of riders on public transit. Brittany Hoffman with Valley Metro says they've seen a jump in riders.
I can say over the past 6 months, as we have slowly seen the gas prices tick up, we have definitely seen an increase in ridership.
Valley Metro has no plans to increase fares for riders.
At this time, Valley Metro does not have plans to raise fares in any capacity due to either ridership, gas prices. That's not what causes the fluctuation in our fares.
Krause is watching the prices closely and is more aware of how she's getting around town.
It's really important for me to go with other people and carpool so that I don't have to pay for the gas.
The average fuel surcharge for Uber and Lyft is between 35 and 55 cents per ride or order.
President Joe Biden delivered a chilling warning. Evolving intelligence suggests Russia is exploring options for cyber attacks against U.S. infrastructure. Biden directed his words to the private sector in a written statement yesterday, urging business owners to strengthen online defenses. Biden also spoke on Monday to discuss the matter further, again calling on business leaders to prepare.
One of the tools he's most likely to use, in my view and our view, is cyber attacks. They have a very sophisticated cyber capability.
Biden's administration made its own suggestions to help businesses shore up cyber defenses, including changing passwords, encrypting data, and educating employees on cybersecurity. More than 3 million refugees have fled Ukraine since Russia began its invasion of the country. Russian forces are continuing their siege of Mariupol, although Ukraine has refused to surrender it. These clips shot by residents show some of the destruction the city has seen so far. Seizing control of the city would be a significant win for Russian forces. Meanwhile, in Kiev, smoke continues to rise over the city after a Russian attack left 8 dead on Sunday night. The strike hit and destroyed a shopping mall there as the city continues to be one of Russia's main targets. About 8,000 people were able to flee those two areas today after Ukrainian officials successfully opened several humanitarian corridors for them to evacuate.
After the break, we'll have more on what wildfire season could look like in Arizona this year. We'll talk about how this past dry winter could affect the possibility of wildfires in our state as the temperatures get warmer.
Your favorite member benefit is getting better and bigger.
This is wonderful.
Over the next year, Passport is adding new shows and doubling the number of episodes for you to stream.
They give us all that they've got.
From your favorite cooking and travel series.
Even the stairs are breathtaking.
To history specials and award-winning documentaries. Better and bigger.
That really is the fun part.
Stream on any device with Passport on the PBS Video app.
The National Interagency Fire Center is forecasting an above-average fire danger in Arizona this summer. Cronkite News reporter Nick Shesky spoke with experts to figure out why.
Last year, Arizona saw a lot of rain, and while water typically puts fires out, that's not the case here. As Michael CRIMMINS explains, last year's rainfall acts now as fuel.
We had that very, very wet monsoon last summer, which did help a lot of those summer grasses and summer weeds basically grow in the lower elevation areas. And that does set us up for some more fuel connectivity and fine fuels.
Those green grasses grown from the monsoon dried out over the winter.
The couple of things that are converging this year, though, are the last year's wet monsoons, a lot of that fine fuel growing up into the forest areas, and then 2 dry winters. And those dry winters really stress the trees out, and they make those larger fuels up in the forest a little bit more stressed.
Susan Blake from the Tonto National Forest says they are already seeing some fire activity and expect to see more as the year progresses.
We've had a few starts on the forest. The starts have been small for now, and that's because it is still relatively cool, but notice the temperatures are getting warmer.
Blake says that firefighters at the Tonto National Forest are already doing prescribed burns in order to lessen the fire danger, but firefighters need the public's help.
Even though people think that we had a great monsoon season, and we did, they just need to be vigilant when they're out there. Don't take it for granted.
In Phoenix, Nick Shesky, Cronkite News.
Arizona is set to receive $61 million in 2022 for fire prevention as a part of the U.S. Department of Agriculture's 10-year strategy for combating wildfires.
It's starting to heat up here in the valley. Andrea Villalobos joins us now in the Cronkite News Weather Center with more on the warmer temperatures headed our way this week.
Good evening, Arizona. We're potentially looking at our first 90 degrees of the year this week. As you can see, this usually happens on March 31st. Around that time is actually when it happened last year. It did happen on the 31st of March. The earliest that it's happened is about the 17th of February, which is what happened on 2016. The latest it did happen was the 12th of May. They must have been really lucky to have seen that 90 degrees all the way in May, but unfortunately that might not be the case for us. As you can see, we're gonna see about 81 degrees as our high here in Phoenix tomorrow, about 63 degrees in Payson. Tombstone is gonna be at around 65, similarly to up north. But over here in this part of the state, you can see that we're going to be in about those 80 degrees as well, 85 degrees in Yuma. But looking at our part of the valley, you can see 81 degrees is pretty much the standard, those low 80s for Phoenix, Scottsdale, and Tempe. Over here in that Goodyear, Avondale area is also very similar. And taking a look over here at that eastern part of the valley, Apache Junction and Queen Creek are at around 78 degrees each as well. And if you're lucky enough to be in northern Arizona at this time of the year, you're going to be beating the heat because we have about 57 degrees as our high in Flagstaff with 27 degrees as the low and 68 degrees in Sedona, which is about a 10-degree jump from Flagstaff. But taking a look at our 8-day forecast here in the valley, we have about 81 degrees again tomorrow on Wednesday as our high. But on Friday is when you do see that jump to about 94 degrees. And coming into the weekend on Saturday, goes up higher to 97 degrees. Coming into that work week, we come down to 89 degrees, and it gets a little bit cooler down when we come into about Wednesday. In the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Andrea Villalobos.
I'm Lindsay ZIENTY. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. A local church partnered with the Prison Fellowship Organization to create a program to help kids whose parents are incarcerated. We'll have the full story next.
What you get from Washington Week that you will not get anywhere else are the best and the brightest reporters from different media companies, and they're able to have a real conversation about things that are happening in Washington and around the country. But it's also a show about issues that are relevant to different communities. How do you think that, as the moderator, I feel this deep responsibility to bring in those other perspectives so that people understand how power and politics impact their daily lives?
Friday nights at 7 on Arizona PBS.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. I'm Lindsay ZIENTY, and this is your Cronkite Sports Report. The UA women's basketball team season ended last night after an 18-point loss to North Carolina in the NCAA tournament. The loss also marked the end of Wildcats forward and star player Sam Thomas's collegiate career. Thomas led the Wildcats in scoring last night with 15 points, shooting 50% from the field. She was a huge part of the program during her 5-year stint with the Wildcats, helping to lead them to a WNIT title in 2019 and a national championship appearance last season. Thomas was able to cherish her last look at McHale Center and the fans during her final moments as a Wildcat.
Looking at everyone in the arena, just knowing that's my last time actually being on the court as a Wildcat in my uniform, but just knowing that I think the fans are hopefully going to follow me, a lot of them, so they're going to follow me my next adventure in life, and that they're all like family to me, and they just made this place a great place to be at.
ASU alum Phil Mickelson has decided he will not play in the 2022 Masters. This is the first time Mickelson will miss the Masters since 1994. No reason was given for Mickelson's absence, but the three-time champion has not been in public view since his controversial remarks about the new Saudi-backed league that is supposed to rival the PGA Tour. The Masters is set for April 7th to the 10th. Arizona's Central Christian Church partnered with the Prison Fellowship Organization to host a basketball camp that benefited children with incarcerated parents. Cronkite News reporter Michael Bosky has this story.
Central Christian Church in Mesa hosted the Phoenix area Angel Tree Basketball Sports Camp through the Prison Fellowship Organization to benefit kids of incarcerated parents. This camp benefited more than 150 kids ages 7 to 17. Each participant left with a Bible, a basketball, and a new pair of shoes.
What excites me is that it's not just about a day of fun. This is about truly having long-term impact on the lives of these kids and families. These kids have been through so much trauma, and it's really our job to show them that there's a different way, and that people actually care and love them, and that their choices can shape the direction of their lives.
The Angel Tree Basketball Camp is more than just a day of playing hoops. It's about building a community, showing love, and giving these kids a support system they can reach out to in the future.
I think really the other purpose of this program isn't really just about today, but it's like when they leave, they're going to leave with a resource and a community that they can still be a part of, right?
The most important aspect of the Prison Fellowship Organization is breaking the cycle of incarceration and helping these children make good choices with their lives. Building friendships, providing support, and teaching these children life lessons through sports can make a huge difference in their lives.
I think it's probably a surprise to a lot of folks how many kids whose parents are incarcerated are right here in our community. They're all over the place and we just don't know them. And so it's just a big deal for us to go, how do we actually be a presence with those in our community to help encourage them, bless them, provide in whatever way we can.
In Mesa, Michael Bosky, Cronkite News.
The Diamondbacks signed right-handed pitcher and Arizona native Zach Davies earlier today. The Mesquite High School alum could be in line to join the D-backs starting rotation. That's all for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Reyna.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.